In my previous video, I took you to a village in East China to see the scenery of villagers drying up farm products in the autumn sunshine. There are many white houses in that village. Actually, the white houses are traditional residents of Huizhou, an ancient region in East China which consists of 6 counties. It's too small on the map. Let's zoom in. Today, Huizhou is divided with 5 counties in Anhui Province and 1 county in Jiangxi Province. I went to 4 villages in Wuyuan County in Jiangxi Province this fall and will try to piece up the unique history and heritage behind these white houses in this video. The first village in the video is located in the north of the county, almost on the border of Jiangxi and Anhui Province. At the entrance of the village, there is a pagoda which is quite different from any other pagoda I've seen in China. I'll tell you what it represents when I leave the village.
Hello, I'm Yan Yan. Today I'm in Wuyuan, Jiangxi Province. The houses here have a very unique style with black roofs and white walls. I call them Las Casas Blancas de China.
The white houses in this village are ranging from 100 to 500 years old, built during the Ming and Qing dynasties. The structures of the ancient white houses are very similar. Number 1. No window on the wall.
Can you guys see here? There is a very narrow window here. Actually, I wouldn't call it a window, but rather a peephole. And there is one over there. These are the only 2 windows on this entire wall.
Walls with only peepholes and some even with wires make the white houses cold as prison. Despite that, there are peepholes in different shapes, giving some temperature to the house. To understand the reason for not having windows on the wall, you'll have to know the way of living in Huizhou in ancient times. In the Chinese white houses, this part is named sky wall because it looks like looking at the sky from the bottom of a wall. But it's actually just a courtyard.
Courtyard is an important structure in Huizhou houses. Since there is no window on the wall, this is the only source of lighting, and the entire house is structured around it. This is the central hall, which is like today's living room, and it usually is open space. And the side rooms and the rooms upstairs.
The doors of the side rooms usually are wooden ones with carvings on it. The wooden ladders let fresh air and natural light get into the rooms. There is another type of sky wall that has rooms around it on each of the 4 sides, like a riad in Morocco. Entrance usually has a lot of information about the house. Take this house that's over 500 years old, for example.
This was the house of a government official. How do I know it? From the shape of its entrance. See? Gradually, it opens wider and wider. That's an indication.
This kind of design keeps the entrance a small distance away from those who walk by. It's as if to say, hey, this is a noble house, keep your distance. The characters above the entrance tell the position of the owner. 天官 The owner of the house was the minister of the Ming Imperial Court, who's in charge of the appointment and evaluation of government officials. That's the official of all the officials.
Let's say I'm Jack Ma. I have a lot of money. I want to build a house of this style. Can I do it? In ancient times, it was not allowed. Only government officials can have this style.
Compared with the social status of its owner, this house is very low-key. The entrance was qualified to be much larger and luxury, like this one. These upturned eaves above the entrance are another indication of house of government official. There is usually a longer one in the center and short ones on two sides. The more the eaves, the higher the ranking of the owner is.
This house is way more spacious. The owner was the governor of Guangzhou, which is like today's Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Macau, and the adjacent regions. Unfortunately, the house was severely damaged. All the wood carvings and the brick carvings are gone.
A broken stone tablet is placed on the center hall. The two characters left on the tablets reminds us the original owner of the house was a high-ranking official.
圣旨 Imperial Decree.
How come there were so many high-ranking government officials from such a small and remote mountainous village? Thanks to the imperial examination system. Those who excelled in that exam would be given a government position regardless of whether those young men were from rich or poor families. The level of the position offered depended on the ranking of the examination. In this village and in Huizhou in general, there is a tradition of starting while farming. Young men helped families in farming while also studying hard to prepare for the imperial examination. Smart young men entered politics and climbed their way up to become high-ranking government officials. They would build big houses in their home village for their parents and their offsprings to live. That's the story behind the ancient white houses in this village.
Now that you know the story of this village, let me tell you what this pagoda represents. It represents a pen.
The imperial examination system that dated back to the 6th century provided a channel for the poor in China to climb the social ladder and was one of the reasons that for thousands of years, education has had such an important position in Chinese family and Chinese society. This pagoda was erected to remind the villagers, especially young people in the village, the importance of education. The second village in this video is this one named Sixi, another white village surrounded by mountains, and there is also a stream in the village. During Ming and Qing dynasties, several families in this village engaged in timber business and opened up timber stores in big cities. That's how they made fortune and built these white houses. So the houses in this village are house of merchant. There was very strict hierarchy in ancient Chinese society. Merchants were counterintuitively at the bottom of the hierarchy. And let's see how these houses are different from house of government official. This is the entrance of a house at the end of the road. Inside, there is a small courtyard, and there is another entrance inside the courtyard. The entrance of the house of merchant is not allowed to face south, so the owner either made the entrance face another direction or hid the entrance in a courtyard. It was not allowed to have those exquisite upturned eaves above the entrance as well. Since there are many restrictions on the entrance of the house, those merchants instead focused on the interior design of their houses. Wood carvings was one of the areas. The entire wall of the side room in this house is made of exquisite wood carvings and wood lattice. The front side of this house, which is hidden in a courtyard, is full of wood carvings, with 10 wooden doors on the first floor and wooden windows on the second floor. Even the beams in between are full of carvings of flowers and animals. Besides lattice and patterns, there are also Chinese characters in relief on the doors. There are 96 characters in total on these 10 doors. But actually, there are the same Chinese character, 寿, which means longevity. These are 96 different fonts. Amazing. The front side of this house is more marvelous than many wooden crafts you would find in a museum.
The corners of the old houses are round. A. It's difficult for thieves to climb up the round corners. B. It gives extra space for neighbors to walk.
People in Huizhou believed in a branch of Confucianism which values modesty and humility. These round cornerstones represent these values. Huizhou-style bridges can also be found in this village.
I used to think roofed bridge is only in southwest China, especially in ethnic minority regions. I never thought roofed bridge is also in Huizhou. This one behind me is a typical roofed bridge in Huizhou, and it has its unique style. Look at its foundation. It has a raft shape.
The raft-shaped foundation could reduce the impact of water flow during flood season. This bridge was built in the 15th century. It's almost 600 years old.
This bridge is so similar to the ones in Miao Village and Dong Village. There are wooden benches on both sides.
Since the two regions are far away and both in mountains, there could be little communication between the two. I guess the similar designs were came up individually. The dog is taking a nap. Students from art school are sketching the white houses and the bridge. In the center of the bridge, on the raft-shaped foundation, there is a small temple enshrining the great Yu who fought flood 2,000 years ago in China. There's another bridge over the stream. It's very simple, with several boards. This kind of bridge is more common in Huizhou. Next, I'm going to the neighboring village, which is within walking distance. There are 56 white houses built during the Qing dynasty in this village, mostly between the 18th to 19th century. The white houses are also houses of merchants, and the merchants in this village engaged in tea business. In history, timber and tea were two major products that merchants in Wuyuan sold. The houses in this village are similar to the ones in the previous village because they are all houses of merchants. The entrance are often hidden in a courtyard. Since there is usually no window on the wall, this little balcony is very eye-catching.
See that lovely little wooden balcony? In old times, girls before getting married were basically locked inside the house. They were not allowed to go out to socialize. And there's no window in their room facing outside, as you can see. So in some houses, they built a little wooden balcony for the girls to see the world outside.
This special design for girls is common in Huizhou. That Riyadh-style house we saw earlier was also the section for girls in the family. There is a backyard and a long wooden bench was built on the second floor facing the backyard. This kind of design is called daughter's bench. It was also seen in Huangling in my previous video. Let's see what it looks like inside. It looks like a balcony from outside, but rather it's just a wooden bench. This house gives us an opportunity to take a peek at girls' life in Huizhou. This is the girls' bedroom. The bed, the dresser, the cabinet. Outside the bedroom is the space for practicing musical instrument and drawing. While young men in Huizhou study to prepare for imperial examination or work as clerks to learn business practice, girls in the family learn musical instrument, drawing, embroidery, and so on. When they are bored, they would go sitting at the bench to see the world outside. Their father would pick young men from rich family or who excelled in the imperial examination and had a bright political future for them to marry. Capital and politics joined and mingled through marriage. Now I can explain to you why there's no window in these white houses.
In ancient Huizhou houses, there's no window on the wall, kind of like Hakka wood houses. That's because in old times, men in Huizhou didn't stay at home. They either left home to work for government or to do business in big cities like Suzhou, Yangzhou, Wuhan, or Guangzhou. Only women and children stay at home. For safety reasons, no windows on the wall.
Men in Huizhou left home for big cities when they were teenagers and only returned home once or twice each year. Generation by generation, Huizhou merchants boosted the prosperity of cities in Yangtze River Delta like Nanjing, Wuxi, Suzhou, and Yangzhou. At the same time, Huizhou politicians also made it to the center of power. These white houses are the legacy of the golden time of Huizhou. I'm Yan Yan. I make videos about sets of interest in China and histories and stories behind them. Subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.